lounging, son.
And today I'm going to be talking about the absolute Batman, Haunted Knight, Jeph Loeb, Tim Sale, one of my favorite creative duos in comic books. Everything they've done, I've absolutely loved. I mean, I've talked about Tim Sale plenty of times on the channel. Definitely haven't even touched the surface of his entire career and books that I want to cover on the channel. Figured, I always kind of read at least one of the Jeph Loeb Tim Sale Batman stories throughout fall, winter season. I mean, they're timed so perfectly. Obviously, Haunted Night is a bunch of the Halloween specials that they did. Also, and contained in here is the Catwoman When in Rome series, which I kind of feel like it could have been its own absolute edition, but I'm also not mad that they included it in here. I've often said Tim Sale is my favorite Batman artist, and I will die on that mountain. He, without a doubt, Long Halloween, favorite Batman story. Dark Victory is a close second, if not tied. So just wanted to kind of talk about this one, flip through it, kind of show it off. It also is like so great seeing it at an oversized. Seeing it oversized is like another treat. I don't have the absolute editions for Long Halloween and Dark Victory. When those were coming out, they weren't affordable. Could only procure this one. I do have obviously other versions of the other ones. This is the only absolute Jeph Loeb Tim Sale. Plus the new Superman for All Seasons came out. That'll be an episode I'll be doing soon. Yeah, like I said, Jeph Loeb Tim Sale story are the writer artist. And on top of that, we have Gregory Wright as a colorist on the Batman Haunted Knight stories, and Dave Stewart colors When in Rome. Todd Klein, the letter, in my opinion, greatest of all time in terms of letters the Haunted Knight chapters, and Richard Starkings' letter for Catwoman When in Rome. Another great letter, and just phenomenal. A little bit of backstory. We got Archie Goodwin, which does the intro for this. This is the intro to the first edition of the Batman Haunted Knight trade paperback in 1996, talking about how these, Halloween specials came to be. They were from the Legends of the Dark Knight series, and I think it's funny because like they had an idea for not just for the special, but a special series involving a year in Batman's life, a year that covers 13 months. It's called Long Halloween. They're already underway with it. So at the point of Haunted Night, Long Halloween had not come out yet. It was still being worked on, even as of the time Archie Goodwin wrote this. I love this. As an editor, I'm excited, but the 7-year-old in me finds his knees begin to shake. Again, look, one of the greatest Batman stories of all time. In my opinion, it's the best. I'm sure people have their favorites, but I love these particular one-shots because we get this one is very Scarecrow focused, and just comparing the time of year to different, in LA, everyone with a gun fires into the air. People are killed from falling bullets. Cincinnati, curfew prevents the children from trick-or-treating after dark. In Detroit, they call it Devil's Night. Buildings are torched. Fires sweep throughout the city unchecked. But in Gotham City on Halloween, all hell breaks loose. And I love Tim Sale's, he does his own spin on all the Batman Rogues Gallery. I love his Scarecrow. I think it's very creepy. The bloodshot red eyes, the sewn together mask, the straw, like the way he does the straw hair, it's just absolutely creepy as hell. And calls himself Scarecrow, psychologist turned psychopath, preys on the innocent and instills them with fear. I mean, the perfect villain. Like, he's instilling fear in citizens of Gotham while Batman is instilling fear in the villains. And again, something about Tim Sale that I feel is timeless. He has, even the gangsters have that like classic like 40s, 50s vibe, even going back to the 20s and 30s actually, gangsters. And I love the way he depicts Batman. I love the cowl, the red eyes, the cape, long flowing, very creepy looking. Utilizing him in the shadows, a kick, a punch, breaking the pool cue over his head and throwing him out the window, just building it up. And he's on the hunt for Scarecrow. Get this great one-page splash with the lightning in the background. Scarecrow just creepy as hell. I love this too. The knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone, as he's saying these like little nursery rhymes. Even telling Batman he's not afraid of him. He's like, you should be afraid, very afraid. Just a great, back and forth between Batman and Scarecrow. I love even the added the stubble on Batman's face, showing that he's been up for a long time, hasn't shaved yet. Commissioner Gordon even, tells him to freeze. He doesn't let Batman do what he needs to do, you know? He's making sure that the law is still upheld. And Batman took a fucking shot of fear gas straight to the face. You know, he's like, I'm fine. I'm just tired. And like I said, like you can tell he's been up for a long time. He tells him to come to Bruce Wayne's costume party, which I thought was very funny. I mean, obviously, because it's Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon doesn't know. I feel like in the more modern times, Commissioner Gordon, I think he knows, but it's kind of an unspoken knowledge that he knows Batman's identity. Of Barbara, you know, like it's not something I want to do, but you know, once Barbara gets it in her head, we got to go. So now we get the costume party, and obviously, you know, Bruce Wayne doesn't always want to partake in these things, but he has to keep up appearances. This is full of Easter eggs. We get Cerebus, we get Madman, we get Hobbs. Who else? Waldo's thrown in there. Milk and cheese. So I love that all these little Easter eggs are at the costume party. You know, Bruce Wayne goes over, talks to Commissioner Gordon, just trying to keep up appearances, but he meets this woman, is instantly taken with her. And obviously there's something, you know, else going on with her, and then I love the depiction of like when Scarecrow's fear gas, you know, as it takes over with the person, snakes coming out, spiked teeth, face on fire. Now he's a wolf. And then we get this woman, like she's like going in and she's kind of like snooping around. As she's about to leave out, you know, she's like looking at this clock and she's like not understanding obviously why the dogs would be riled up, but the clock is what hides, you know, the entrance to the Batcave. Bruce has to leave, take care of his matters as Batman, and asks Alfred to get the number, but Alfred is obviously not trusting her. And you can see that Batman's kind of, you know, he's not on his A game because he's some random like thug is able to kind of slash at his chest. And he's exhausted, right? Obviously, like, going at all hours of the night, trying to take Scarecrow down. And this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, again, here she comes. She makes herself very present and kind of forces herself on Bruce. But at the same time, he's very enamored. And then even this, like, the dialogue between them that you see as he's on the edge of a rooftop, you know, like, I have to go to work. Who works on a Saturday night? She says, money never sleeps, I told her. If I were honest about it, I would have said crime never sleeps. And then you get this beautiful, beautiful double page with Batman perched atop the rooftop, and it's just so good. Seeing this oversized was just a whole nother experience. And again, the fear toxin continues to take hold while contrasting this woman that has put herself, kind of thrust herself into Bruce's life. Now that, you know, they're going to go on a trip and you know, it kind of makes him question whether or not he's going to, you know, take care of crime in Gotham City. I mean, he's about to get robbed and he's like, yeah, you know, he lets the mugger get away with it. He starts to act irrational. Alfred is noticing it. Again, the crows, Scarecrow, the creepy, like, long nails that he adds to it. And saying these nursery rhymes again. I know an old woman who lived in a shoe. All that stuff. Sending the crows to track Batman down. And then we get Scarecrow's lair. I love this shot, too, of Batman jumping in. And we see it from behind. So we're getting a different shot. Just phenomenal. Gets trapped in a maze. He's stuck. I mean, just what a great shot. And this woman, again, she's coming in, snooping around. And Alfred is not having it. He's like, quit snooping around inside that room, and Batman's trapped, trying to get out. Alfred's like, you know, his intuitions are correct. He does a search and finds out that this woman is wanted. He's gonna bring it to Batman. Again, these double page spreads are just like insane. Batman is taken back, bloodied up, scratched up. Alfred puts him over, has to give him the antidote for the fear gas, but Bruce is having these nightmares. Even seeing Jillian in the dream, which should, obviously Batman's mind is telling him something, and he doesn't want to hear it. He just comes out thinking he's seeing Jillian. Really, it's Alfred telling him urgent matter that he needs to deal with. And he says, Miss Jillian, and she comes in and, again, interrupts. And Jeph Loeb does such a great job of building up the mystery of it. You know, between Scarecrow coming after him, we're not quite sure how much the fear gas has affected Bruce. And then we don't know what Jillian's motives really are. To the point where, like, even Bruce is like, I don't want to hear it. Like I didn't ask you, kind of stay out of it. I love this too, like how we make a jack-o'-lantern out of the bat signal. Great shot of the eyes. And even this subtleness as he has the disc in his hand and he drops it as the bat signal comes. And Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse went the clock, the whole rhyme is going, right? And where does Commissioner Gordon get left? On the clock tower. Just keeps with the fucking nursery rhymes. And Batman is he's had it. This isn't a game. Grabs Scarecrow, beats the crap out of him, and he talks about how tempting it was to ignore the bat signal, how hard it was to ignore his desires, private fears I cannot quell or change. Once Scarecrow touched those fears, he never had a chance. And this is it. We learn Jillian Maxwell, Alfred basically tells her, kick rocks, get the hell out. I heard what you've done to your past billionaire husbands. Obviously, Bruce is upset by it, erases her files from there, and talks about how he learned something over the Halloween weekend. He thought he didn't have a choice about being Batman. The Gotham City chose me to protect her. That is wrong. Ever since the night my parents were taken from me, I made the choice. It means that some of my heart's desires may go unfulfilled, but many more satisfied. It is a good choice. And as Jillian has escaped, we get an epilogue, and she can't escape it. A note with the Bat logo and the word can. Great first chapter, great first one shot. Now this one, chapter 2 is Madness. This is where we see Barbara coming to live with Commissioner Gordon. She's been adopted by him, and the Mad Hatter is the central villain of this one. I keep saying it, but this double page, this angle is such a different angle than we see. Like the way Batman is coming in at a diagonal, feet coming kind of at us. Mad Hatter getting thrown down. Such a creepy villain. I think this is probably one of the more creepier stories with the Mad Hatter. I love the chase. Talking about Alice in Wonderland and how it had an effect on Bruce. The memories, it's connected with his mother. I love this too, like how weird he is. The Queen. Off with his head. And he's a vicious little fucker, this guy. Kidnaps children, and that's, that in and of itself makes him a terrifying villain in my eyes. And I love the relationship between Commissioner Gordon, his wife, their son James, and then Barbara coming to live with them. It's hard to remember because I feel like I don't know if it's been retconned to where she's actually Commissioner Gordon's blood daughter or if she's still the niece but gets adopted. In this story, she's adopted, but she's very combative, wants to be treated like more of an adult, not like a little kid, and fights with Commissioner Gordon a lot. Great use of like lettering, the way it trails off here too. Todd Klein, dude. And like I said about, the Alice in Wonderland and how it has like this strong memory for him, and it's his mom used to read him those stories. Kind of gives another layer to the Mad Hatter and how it would affect Bruce. Waking up in a sweat, dreaming of his mom, and just like the pain hitting him all over again of losing her. It's a no-no, dude. Gordon, breaking into Barbara's diary. She's escaped, and now she's on the run from these hoods with these like skull masks, and she's gonna get taken to the Mad Hatter. Super creepy. Calls her Alice. This dude is an absolute nutcase. And as he's trapped in this like world of the Mad Hatter, going down this like spiral staircase, the giant cards over here, breaks out of this room, and he's still, bloodied, kind of disoriented, and we get him kneeling in his mother's arms where it says Crime Alley graffitied over Park Row. Just completely losing his mind. Love the way they did this too in the tea, and like has the bat symbol, the sugar cubes dropping. What does he do? He makes this like tea party, obviously, because he's obsessed, with Alice in Wonderland. Barbara's like, I've done everything you've asked, put on this costume, came to your tea party. I really have to be going now. And he yells at her, no, you're not going anywhere. Gordon, looking for Batman, doesn't know how to find Barbara. And what happens is he had thought he was in his mother's arms. Really, it's Leslie Tompkins. Get this flashback with, Dr. Tompkins coming to Bruce at the grave of his parents, trying to kind of nurture him and talk to him. And this is where she brings the Alice Adventures in Wonderland, And I hate that book. I don't want your help. I don't want anybody to help me. And I've always loved that kind of relationship that, Dr. Tompkins and as Alfred, like surrogate parents to Bruce, going back to, from when his parents were gone, and how they've always like been there for him. Dr. Tompkins maybe not as present always, but I've always loved that connection. And nurses him back to health. She knows exactly who. You need to be in a hospital, not tonight. I gotta go. And he's gotta go take care of business. Gonna find the Mad Hatter, teams up with Gordon, and he will. Again, these close-ups of the eyes, I absolutely love. This like kid with the Cheshire Cat mask on, so creepy. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad. He's like, shh. How do you know I'm mad? You must be, or you wouldn't have come here. Mad Hatter's absolutely lost his shit. He's choking out Barbara. And who comes in? Not Batman, but Commissioner Gordon comes through the glass to save Babs. Batman, you she all right? Good. Off to take care of the Hatter. And I love this. I love the weight of this punch. And as Mad Hatter gets flung back against this glass and his head just cracks it. So dope. And then to see like the Bat logo almost in the crack of the glass in the mirror. Really awesome. And then I love this moment between Barbara and, apologizing to Batman for all the trouble she caused. And he just disappears. Don't worry, he does it to me all the time. Just the writing and the art are just so good. And it caps off perfectly, like with him picking up the Alice in Wonderland book off the shelf and, allowing himself to kind of connect with his mom, who's not with him anymore. And then we get this one, Ghosts, which is a play on, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Really awesome. We get another Halloween party. This penguin, too, these like little tiny sharp teeth. Love how it overlaps over with this. He's got the gun in one hand, the umbrella in the other. Such a creepy penguin. Again, I love Tim Sale's depictions of the villains. His Two-Face, his Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Penguin, Joker, all of them. Phenomenal. I would love to see a complete action figure line of like Long Halloween, Dark Victory, all based on Tim Sale's art. That would be awesome. And during the commotion, at this party, Bruce Wayne gets thrown out the window, and Lucius Fox's medallion gets stolen in the mix, and that'll play out throughout the story. But Batman comes back in, obviously. Again, love the shot of the uppercut that Batman does against the Penguin. His monocle all cracked. This deep, like, red abyss of his mouth. Super weird. And he throws himself out the window. Goodbye, cruel world. And Batman throws the battery. He's got one shot. He got something. And he pulls him. Uses these double-page spreads. Not super frequently. And they always matter. To get the entire scope of the city as Batman's, tied to Penguin's leg and going after him. Utilized so well. And the way he uses the close-ups. Knows when to pull out. Knows when to pan in. Very cinematic. And Penguin's even ready to, he's like, I'll take my chances. Cuts the rope. But nope, Batman's not letting him go. And then he pulls the medallion right out of the bag. Goes home. Tired. Gonna go straight to sleep. But in that, he can't sleep. He's feverish. Perhaps that accounts for what I saw or thought I saw in the front door. And then he is visited by ghosts. And the first one is his dad. I love this. I pray I'm not too late. Your obsession with Batman creates an even greater and more thunderous change. Then the next one. The next ghost is Poison Ivy. And he thinks somehow you've poisoned me. You've invaded my home. Nope. Just a player this evening, not the pilot. I love the way he does Poison Ivy with the leaves just everywhere. Very effective. And as she's, showing him around, he flashes, he sees his mom again dressing up as Zorro because he was obsessed with Zorro as a kid. And his dad's not there. And he's like, oh, there's always some emergency. He's like, I'll wait, even if it takes all night. And he has no friends, no other kids to call, very alone, very separate from the rest of, his age group, isn't. And that's something that has always been touched upon. I mean, it's later touched on with Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee's Hush when they retroactively and give Bruce Wayne a childhood friend, the only one he ever had. He's like, all right, you've made your point. The evening's not gonna work like that, man. So then we get of another flashback to Lucius as a young man, and we see like where the medallion came from. We see Lucius, only he's younger and he's being robbed, and we see a young Bruce Wayne right before he becomes Batman. And I love how he's like, I'd forgotten how reckless I could be back then. And so even then he saved the medallion. Great shot of Ivy just draped over Batman. And then he talks about what they can do with the money and how he can, his expertise in finance. And, Bruce is young back then. So he's like, doesn't really think to do anything. And this is a way, and, he talks about like, Lucius wouldn't have understood. No one could. I made a promise on my parents someday to rid Gotham City of the crime that took their lives. I love the whisper. Is that how your parents would have wanted you to honor them? And then we get the final ghost. A trail of jack-o'-lanterns leads to the fireplace, and he hears a laugh. Only one man could have that laugh, Joker. I love this too. Such a great double page. Alfred strung up with an apple in his mouth. But again, this is all in his mind. None of this is really happening. Sees the kids. Why would they want to come here? It's creepy. It's haunted. And they say criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot. One more ghost to go, Bat Boob, he says. I love the shot of the teeth. Now he's ghost of future, right? And he sees Alfred visiting a grave, and he's all alone, and it's the grave of Bruce Wayne. How did this happen? How was I so easily forgotten? And that in turn leads him to do something that, with his fortune, that will kind of keep his family's memory alive. He gives the medallion back to Lucius. He says it was saved. He wants to keep the name, reputation, and the Wayne fortune alive in Gotham City, so he wants to start the Wayne Foundation to help the less fortunate. Great way for him to honor his family, keep his name alive, honor his parents in a different way. And I love this too, the ending. It's all lit up, and he's giving candy out on Halloween. Phenomenal. And then I'll just briefly touch on this. I'm a huge fan of the When in Rome story. I love kind of the side story of where she leaves off when I believe it's at the end of Long Halloween, in between Dark Victory. Can't remember exactly. But, she's on the move. You got Two-Face, Batman, I'm always here to protect you. Just a great story showcasing Catwoman. Like she's, having these dreams of, Falcone and how she might be the daughter of Carmine Falcone. And this leads to her going to Rome, and Riddler is her kind of like her partner in crime going over there. Just a fantastic story. Beautifully colored by Dave Stewart. Just love the way he colors over Tim Sale. I love that she gets a different costume because she didn't pack it with her, and it's Joker comes into play because he's poisoning them. Great shot of Catwoman running across this rooftop. Just a really fun story. Batman makes no appearances. Yes, this is a dream. Like, she thinks it's Batman. Really, it's the blonde guy that works for the mob in Italy. A lot of great shots. I love that. Riddler's just always kind of creeping on her a little bit too, which is kind of funny. But he ends up being a little bit of a traitor to her throughout. And I won't get too into it, but that's what happens. We see that she was frozen by, like, it wasn't Mr. Freeze, but this freeze gun. She thinks she's back in Gotham City. Batman's helping her out. But all these things, like, she's obsessed with Batman, and she doesn't know Bruce is Batman yet. She still calls out, and she's like, why would I think of them at the same time? I love that she constantly punches Riddler in the face too. I think it's really funny. The depiction of Riddler in here is like, he's such a doof. We'll see that there's more than meets the eye with him. I love this angle too of Catwoman propelling from the roof to steal something. So good. Get Cheetah appearance. Just a lot of cool little cameos, whether or not they're in her mind or not. Getting to see the depictions by Tim Sale is always fun. Why the cheetah would be in here, super funny. Great little battle between the two of them, a cat versus a cat. And she keeps having these moments where, like, thinks she's doing something else, like she's kissing Batman, and it's Riddler. Oh, dude, he ain't having it, dude. He has to stand on this little suitcase. Dude. So good. These covers too, by the way, phenomenal. But she comes out, She realizes it's not him, throws him into the ocean off the yacht. So just a very cool Catwoman story. I like that they did this side story that's, fits nicely within the Dark Victory and Long Halloween trilogy of books. This is where we see that the Riddler had turned on her. See that Scarecrow was giving the fear toxin. So all of these things that she's been seeing, it all plays in. We get Cheetah, we get Scarecrow, Riddler, all going to take Catwoman out. And now we see that Riddler's been playing the fool, but maybe he's not as stupid as he was leading her to believe. Can't recommend this enough. I know that this story is, you can find it separately. I love that the ring he took from her, he pulls up and the gas comes out, and now he just sees a bunch of Jokers everywhere. Great final page, too. Beautiful. Nice little epilogue, too. As she visited the gravesite of the Roman. She doesn't know, she still doesn't know too much of her history. There's no way to prove anything, but, it's always been teased that that's kind of like where she came. Great sketchbook stuff from Tim Sale. I love the page progression we get from pencils to inks, ink wash to colors. Kind of wish we had some more back material for like the Haunted Knight era, but cool that we get to see all this, get the original covers to some of the trades, some nice stuff in the back. But beautiful collection, highly recommend. I know this one's still in print. I know Long Halloween Dark Victory Absolutes are long out of print, but can't recommend this enough. Go pick it up, check it out. Anything by Jeph Loeb Tim Sale, in my opinion, perfect comics. All highly recommended. Make sure you check out. I'm gonna have this in the Halloween playlist too. So make sure you check out all those Halloween horror reads. Perfect for the spooky season. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.